welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm so excited to be talking to Kelli of HeyLieu. And if you guys have been listening to our podcast, we had Kelli and Derek on a few weeks ago, actually probably closer to a month ago, and they talked about how a VA can actually help your lawn and landscaping business. So Kelli, welcome to the show. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you. This is my first live appearance ever, so I'm going to just apologize ahead of time if anything goes wrong.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate you being here. So the title of the episode today was just really how a VA can help landscapers. Posting some questions inside the Facebook group. Some people didn't seem to understand what a VA is and what a VA, or they've heard of VA, but they're not sure what a VA can actually do for them. So you mind kind of starting off that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So we get the same question. Sometimes people think of VA as like a chat bot or some sort of robot that they're plugging in on their website, something like that. So to clear up any confusion, I would say the easiest way to like succinctly put what we do is staffing and management of global team members. So that's kind of like the easiest way to put it. So a virtual assistant is essentially somebody who's working in administration or maybe operations or things like that, but they're not there in your office. They're offshore. For us, most of our assistants come from the Philippines, but we also have assistants all throughout Latin America, specifically when someone's looking for maybe some English, Spanish speakers, which can be really helpful. And so what we do is we try to meet with key players, decision makers, business owners, whoever it is who's really needing help, and do a deep dive into the organization and the tasks that are getting done, and really try to figure out how can a virtual assistant help your business? So that whole question mark of, I don't really know how a VA could work in my company. Can they even work in my company? We've gone through that. We've gone through it many, many times. We went through it with our own business, which is actually how this company even started. So I know we mentioned that on the podcast before, but we also have a service industry company, which is a moving company. We had a very, very top heavy admin line, and we still needed to get all those tasks done. Couldn't figure out the justification for the dollars that were next to that line. And so we were like, how do we get this done without paying the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're paying for this? And so global staffing was really the answer for us. And we were able to bring in all those team members, and they're in every single department. So we can go into all the ins and outs of all the things that they do, but we try to be very customized depending on who we're working with and try to find the absolute best fit that we can.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing I wanted to share with everybody too is, well, two things. First off, if you guys have any questions anywhere, as we're going through, feel free to post a comment in the comment section. We'll get them answered. Even afterwards, even if you watch this a little bit later on, have questions, post on it, and we'll reach out to Derek or Kelli and make sure you guys get your questions answered. But one of the things that I really liked about HeyLieu is the fact that you guys help landscapers figure out what they need and help find the right person and make sure they're set up for success. Because I can tell you from my first experience hiring a VA, I did not do that. I was kind of unprepared, I would say. And I learned along the way, but I didn't have everything kind of laid out. And I didn't have certain procedures to help make things smooth and make sure they knew exactly what to do. So that's one thing I really love about HeyLieu. So would you mind kind of elaborating a little bit more about like the process and things that you would ask a landscaper to kind of get things going for them?
Yeah. So we experienced the same thing that you did. We hired our first VA and we thought they were great and had absolutely no idea what to do with them at that point. It was like, hey, maybe you can answer some emails or something along those lines. So we were very limited in our view. And it kind of stayed that way for about 6 to 9 months until we finally had like this light bulb moment of, what are we doing? This person is highly skilled and can do a lot more than what we're handing over. So let's actually start to get into the nitty gritty of what they could actually do. So typically when we meet with someone, we do a discovery call. It can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even longer, depending on how in depth we really want to go. But we do start asking questions about, the things that really take up a bunch of time in your day that you feel like if you could just pass it off to someone, It would make your life a lot easier. You could spend your time doing bigger and better things. Maybe you could move on to more revenue generating activities, or, some of the wish list things that you really wish you had time to do and you haven't been able to. So we start asking those types of questions. Sometimes, we keep the first discovery really short and we give you homework. So a lot of times we'll talk to someone and say, hey, over the next week, I would love for you to meet with all the key individuals in your company, as well as yourself, and maybe document what you do every day, just for a week, right? Anything that you do, big or small, take a look at it, write it down, and then we'll meet back in 1 week and we'll take a look at that list, and we'll usually start separating that list into 2 different lists. So on one side, you've got, here are all of the things that I am completing that are important, but they don't have to be done by me, or they don't have to be done by that particular person. And then the other side of that list is, here's the things that really need to be done by myself or that key player. And then you've got your 2 lists, and what you end up with is 2 different job descriptions, one for your key individual or yourself and one for an assistant. And that's what we did in our company. We did that in every single department. And we came up with really solid job descriptions that we then were able to take, go out and look for the proper individuals who had experience in logistics, for example, or in customer service or accounting, payroll, bookkeeping, those types of activities. We found them, we brought them in, we trained them, and then our key players inside of our company were able to go on to do bigger and better things within the company. So, that's a really great exercise. And if you come into a discovery call having already done that, you're like 5 steps ahead. So we can start taking a look at what you need to get done on a day-to-day basis. Even if you get into a roadblock, you're like, I can't really think of anything. We work with so many different clients across multiple industries, a lot of them being in the service space. So we have a lot of ideas. So sometimes we just start, hey, what about this? Do you track your guys' times? Are you looking at breaks? Do you need help with payroll? Are you needing to communicate with maybe H-2B program individuals that are coming in for the summer? You try to onboard them and you're having difficulties. Those are all things that we'll start asking questions to try to get the juices flowing there.
Yeah. And I think people are sometimes a little hesitant to hire somebody from overseas. How do you kind of go about addressing some of those concerns that people may have?
Yeah. So what we offer primarily is a managed service. So a lot of people are really worried about having to bring somebody in, and how do I manage this person? How do I pay this person? How do I track this person's time? So we actually handle all of that within our program. So everything's kind of baked in. We've got operations managers that are there to assist clients, and they are doing all of that activity monitoring, tracking on the back end. We do payroll for you, everything that you need. All you have to worry about is plugging that person into your company. As far as the skepticism, I totally understand that, and it can be a gate that you have to get through to really change your mindset on what can be done by someone who's not local and what can't. So I completely understand that. We go through a rigorous vetting process when we're trying to find the proper individual for your company. Our recruiting team has a new interview every 15 minutes. So it's an extensive, and they don't even interview all the resumes that come in. We get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and we're quick culling down based on, experience level, education, things like that. And then we're screening, and they actually have to go through, I think, 3 or 4 interviews internally with us before you even see them. So lots of, checking to make sure everything's okay before we even present anybody. And then the final step is actually that we schedule interviews between our clients and the assistants. So we don't really believe in just like random placement or, hey, here's a person that we found, good luck, right? We want to make sure there's also like company culture fit. So you could have 2 people with the exact same skill set, and maybe you just work better with one of them, or you communicate better with one of them. And so that final step is actually interviewing between client and assistant. So you get to meet them, you can talk to them, ask them whatever questions you have. We can also implement practical skills tests. So if you've got something, for example, we've got marketing agencies that are clients of ours, and maybe they're looking for video editors, and they have, hey, here's some video files, and you've got 90 minutes to create a 3-minute video using what we've sent you. right? So we'll put them through practical tests as well. And that way, you know, you as the end user can feel confident about the person that you hire, that they can do everything that you're asking them to do.
That's great. I love that. The one thing that I can say, because we've used a VA to help do our bookkeeping, and I've had people like, aren't you worried about them seeing numbers like or getting into your bank account? Well, what we did, we didn't necessarily give them access to our bank account. We just uploaded our bank statement every month to a Google Drive. They saw it pop up, and then they kind of went from there and entered everything in as they needed to. They had access to certain things and Stripe and whatnot to be able to do things. But I had zero issues with it. Like there was no concern at all with hiring somebody overseas. The one thing I maybe it's just my ignorance or something. I guess I wasn't aware of how much education some of these people have and go through. And that was actually very surprising to me. And I don't know why it just seems silly now looking back, but I started seeing like some of these are actual CPAs that I was looking at for bookkeeping that were reaching out. So there's a lot of education that these people go through to be trained on certain things, whether it's video editing, social media, whatever it is. So they have a lot of knowledge that just my simple mind, I guess, wasn't thinking of until I started seeing it. So it is quite impressive, and you can definitely get past and not worry about whether they're good enough or whatever. So
I think it's hard because truthfully, like from my perspective as an employer who employs a lot of people here local in the US as well, I think it can be really difficult to wrap your mind around high level talent at lower price points, because you're just so used to like, what am I going to get for $15 an hour locally, let alone 10? Like there's no way I could get somebody who's good for $10 an hour. There's no way. And, we just kind of forget that there are, different exchange rates globally. And that's really what you're taking advantage of here is you've got people who are, like you said, highly educated, highly skilled, lots of experience. And just because the price point's lower doesn't mean that they are lesser quality than someone that you would hire locally. In fact, our goal is that they're potentially higher quality than what you might find. And so that's the other side of this is we've worked with some companies who really started off with every intention in the world to hire someone local. So they went out, they searched for somebody for a position. They've had the job posting open for months, if not years. They've brought in people and no one is sticking. And sometimes we just we see that happen because maybe the job isn't anything rigorous. It's not necessarily crazy. It's not a glamorous job. And maybe it only pays like $55,000. There's not a lot of talent pool, specifically where I'm at here. We've got a lot of people who are like very, very high level education and roles and not so much in the middle area. And so it's just kind of hard to find those people. And we were able to help them find someone for like, $22,000 a year. So not only were they able to find someone who could do the job, could do it well, but it was someone who stuck and they saved about 50%-ish of their budget.
Yeah. And my experience so far, and I look at yours, is they've always seemed to kind of want to go above and beyond for the most part. I've never had anybody like just do the minimum. They've always seemed to kind of want to do more and be very helpful and just kind of very outgoing. And it's actually been a very, very good experience. I've hired, I don't know, probably 10 different VAs over my time here at the $1 Million Landscaper, and they've always worked out really good. I've only had one issue, and it was a little bit partially my fault, but they just, everyone though has been a very good experience. And I would highly recommend you guys reach out to HeyLieu to figure out, how you can use somebody, because there's so many different things that we could do in our business that we'd be better off out there selling to customers and not doing payroll or not doing the bookkeeping or whatever. Like there's so many things that you can hand off that you just don't even think about.
I think it's really the stuff that you don't think about. And so my goal when I walk into a discovery call with anyone is to really get you to start thinking about the things you weren't thinking about before. And again, the experience that we have just in our own service industry company, but as well as talking to all these different clients across various industries, is that we get new ideas. We get ideas for things that we didn't even think about doing in our business. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? That's genius. One example of that, we had somebody reach out to us because they really just wanted somebody to do CRM cleanup, which sounds crazy. And you would never hire a US based person to do that because you'd never find someone who would be willing to sit there and do that, especially for the dollars you're willing to pay for it. But they just had a really hard time with their salespeople keeping the data clean because the salespeople just want to go out and sell because they're commissioned. They want to make money. They don't care what you've got sitting in your CRM that might be messing up reports, right? Yeah. And so they're like, we'd love to have someone just come in and like take care of the cleanup, right? Make sure that everything's closed out properly, that all the information is in there accurately, you know, that we've got proper follow-up set up. Maybe you want to reach back out in a year, right? We've got all of that set up, and those are the things that the salespeople don't want to do. And so that's something I had never thought about doing. You know, when I think of sales support, I'm thinking about somebody maybe answering more phone calls or actually closing more deals. And so this was something totally different, but it makes perfect sense to me, especially if you're a very data-driven company, to have someone do that. And that, again, came from a client of ours with a totally different perspective than what I have, but it is something I can easily implement inside of my moving company.
Yeah, no, it's to me, it's a lot of those little things that you know you need to be doing. You just don't have the time to either think about it or to do it because you're on to the next sale, you're on to the next dealing with whatever fire is coming up in your business. So like you said, the follow-up, the email follow-ups with your past customers or estimates you sent out or whatever, those are the things you can easily hand off and they know how to do it. You just give them some instructions, what to say, and they can go do it and they'll follow up with you. Do you have any suggestions for those that do hire somebody on how to, I guess, keep things in order and you know, have the SOPs? Like I use Asana. So I use Asana project management tool. Everything stays in there. All my communication stays in there. But do you have anything that you guys recommend that other people do?
Yeah, so Asana is great. There's also Monday. We use ClickUp. So, I mean, all of these are like project management, task management software. Those are all awesome. Sometimes your CRM will have something like that already built in. So I'm a big believer in reducing your tech stack. The more you can do with less, the better, especially from a cost perspective. So that's something that we try to look at as well, is making sure that everybody's optimized to be able to use offshore talent. So do you have the communication platforms, right? Do you have like a VoIP system, like all these different things we look at when we talk to our clients as well. From an SOP standpoint, we actually have a partner who specializes in process documentation. We have worked with her personally for both entities. We know a bunch of people who have worked with her as well. So if you are one of those people who maybe you wore all the hats in your company, and because you wore all the hats, you never really thought to write down how you do what you do because you've got it all, right? Because I've been there. She is very, very good at, you know, setting up times, sitting down with you, documenting everything in a very clear, concise way so that you can actually delegate effectively. We did find that quite a few people that we talked to aren't really prepared to delegate because they've never done it before, which is totally understandable. You're never going to scale until you actually scale. So it makes sense. And so that's why we partnered. Her name's Laura, and we can always connect anybody who comes in with her so that she can sit down with you and really start to build out process as well.
I guess kind of on the note you just touched on a little bit ago, what are some other signs that a landscaper or lawn care professional knows that they're you know, if they're ready for a VA, that they need to kind of do this, unload some of their tasks?
I would say that one really cool time frame is when you're like, man, I wish I could hire someone. That's like a perfect time. I know that sounds weird, but I think as a small business owner, we've gone through the phase of, we're in the awkward teen phase where I need more things done and I need more people, but I can't find the dollars in my business now. And it's kind of which came first, the chicken or the egg? Do I dip into my own pocket to pay someone a high salary to get something done so that I can make more money? Or do I make more money and struggle to make the money so that I can afford the person? That's always a great opportunity to try to bring in a VA. This is where the the cost perspective alone makes it worth it, where you can start to scale your company and really, start to plug in these individuals who can help you with day-to-day tasks so that you can do more with your company. That can be a great one. Another one is kind of what we experienced inside of our company, where we just are very top heavy, economy kind of shifts a little bit, people's budgets get tighter, what you're able to, and I know you work with landscaping companies on estimating so that they can actually be profitable, which is great. But they're, I think from my experience with a consumer, sometimes they just won't accept what is the profitable price, because you've got, whatever this company over here that's charging 30% less than you are. So they're just like, I don't care. I'm going with the cheapest option. And so that's kind of the position that we were in. And for us, that was where we said, how do we get all of this done, but we get it done for a cheaper price? So that's another time where you can look for a VA. And I think the last one is everything's going well, but you do have that wish list. If only I could do this, this, and this, but I just can't justify bringing someone in to do that. Those are also fantastic times to bring virtual assistants in. One of the ones for us was, wouldn't it be cool if we could have somebody call every single one of our clients a couple days before their service is scheduled to confirm their service, to confirm they know that we're coming, to ask any additional questions? I mean, that would be awesome. But am I really going to pay another salesperson to do that? No, it doesn't make any sense. So that's actually one of the tasks that our sales support virtual assistant does now. She reaches out to every single person. If she can't get a hold of them, there's an email, there's a text, there's follow-up that goes out. And it's also like in business, you always want to have your butt covered. So that's one of our CYAs as well, where we're like, hey, if anything goes wrong on your actual service day because you missed something or you weren't prepared, like this is another chance that we have to touch base with customers and align expectations so that everything can go well on service day.
Yeah. Another task I would say that would be very good for the VA is it has to be. So when that customer fills out the form on your website or reaches out to you and calls you, getting back to that customer, even if it's just to schedule an appointment, having somebody actually physically on the phone talking to that person, talking to that customer goes a long way. And that can honestly just separate you from your competitor just by answering the phone. So having somebody like this that, the phones get transferred to the VA, they answer it, and it can all be done nowadays. Like don't think it's all hard and it's complicated and it's expensive. It's not. You can actually easily do this. And again, going back to the VAs, if you're concerned about them being from a foreign country, if you go speak to some of these people, you could hardly tell that they're from another country. Like sometimes it's very difficult. So don't let that scare you off.
we can screen for accent, so that's definitely something that can be done. It is regional, so certain areas of the U.S. are like, it's a big melting pot of every possible country that you can think of. So it's not that big of a deal. Other places don't have as much diversity, so maybe there's a little more pushback there. One of the things that we also try to do when we go through that discovery is if we try to figure out alternate solutions if it's necessary. So let's say that's your concern. My salespeople aren't able to pick up the phone. They're too busy doing X, Y, and Z. We're missing too many calls. I need support there. But maybe you are in a region where any accent is not acceptable. And sometimes we get into those meetings, and one of the things you can do is start looking at, here are the people who are supposed to answer the calls. What's preventing them from answering? Maybe some of those things can be things that we trickle down to a virtual assistant. So if they're spending a lot of time doing email and text follow-up, for example, that's something that can easily be done, and your customers never have to talk to this individual that you're worried might ruin your sale, right? So there's a lot of different ways where we can work around that as well. And that's our goal, is to work with our clients on an individualized basis and customize what the role is going to be so that it works for them and it works for their client base as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Kelli, I think this has been awesome. I think this is something that every landscaper at least needs to be looking into. Like you said, if you want to scale, you want to grow, this is probably the easiest and honestly probably the cheapest way you can kind of go about doing this. So you mind sharing a little bit more about HeyLieu and, kind of a little bit about your story and how somebody can get hold of you?
Yeah. So we have a website. It's HeyLieu.com. So HeyLieu.com. We've got a form on there. It's pretty easy. Actually, Scott, I think you're going to drop a link as well. So people can go directly through your link, which makes things even easier. It's right here. So we've got this link for you. It'll make it really simple. We'll know that you came in through the MDL live or podcast, which is going to also cue us in that you've maybe interacted a little bit with $1 Million Landscape and you're ahead of the game here. And then from there, you'll get scheduled in for a discovery call, probably with me. It might be with one of our salespeople as well. But our goal, again, is to start that deep dive with you and figure out how we can possibly help you. It's a pretty straightforward service. So we don't do any sort of headhunting fees. There's no setup fees. There's no big deposits or anything like that. We'll start the search for you with $0. So as long as you're looking for someone, we're going to go out and we're going to start to try to find that person. You don't pay until they actually start working for you. And then from there, it's just an hourly rate service. And all of that's presented to you up front. So we do have a range of pricing. Most of the time, you're going to be in about a $10 to a $12 an hour range. And that's everything all baked into just that hourly rate. Every so often we'll have hey, I want a project manager, and that project manager would normally cost me $150,000 to $200,000 locally. You're not going to get someone for the 10 to 12. You might be looking more at a $20 to $25, but it's all up front. So you're never going to sign anything without knowing what you're paying for ahead of time. So you don't even have to interview anybody if they're maybe at a price point that you're not comfortable with. But we'll present all of that to you, and then we just kind of go from there. It's a week-to-week service. There's no contracts. We do offer discounts if you want to sign an annual contract, but we find that most people like flexibility. So we provide the flexibility by going week to week. That makes it really easy if you, for whatever reason, need to drop your assistant. We're very flexible with that as well. So it makes it really easy to try it too. And I think that's one thing that I encourage people, if they haven't done it before, at least give it a try, especially with a service like ours where we are there with you side by side. You've got operations managers who are there behind the scenes to help you as well. We want you to be successful, right? And so we're here to answer any questions that you have. And we actually try to be proactive as well in looking at the activity of your assistant and seeing hey, I actually think they can maybe take on more, and then try to have those meetings with you to what else can we give them, right? Let's optimize this person. Let's get them plugged into your company as fully as possible.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish I would have had you guys years ago when I started hiring, because it would have been so much easier to just kind of hand this off. And it's just another thing off your plate. Business owners are busy enough trying to find somebody that's overseas and not sure what the questions to ask and how to even go about this, is because it's a different, it's a little bit different than hiring somebody here locally. So having a company like HeyLieu, it goes a long way. And just having somebody that helps check in to see if things are going smoothly and things are working out, that's a huge thing. Like I said, where I missed were the VA we hired to do bookkeeping initially. They were kind of fudging some of the numbers. And if I had somebody to kind of help watch that, would have been a lot easier. I didn't catch it for a while because I was busy doing other things. So having somebody like you guys help manage it, that says a lot. And it's something, like you said, you got to try it out. Trust me. Once you do it, it's like, wow, this is nice. This is really nice. I need another one.
We went from 1 to 8 really quickly. So after we got past that first 6, 9-ish months where we just didn't even know what to do, we finally were like, hey, we figured it out. Now let's go get all of them. And so we plugged them in really quick, and our infield team loves them. Our office team loves them. It's just additional support for everybody. It allows them to do their jobs more effectively, provides for more points of contact for our guys who are out in the field, which is very relatable with landscaping. You've got crews out in the field. And I don't know if this happens in landscaping, but in moving, all the problems happen at the same time. Every crew will have a problem at the same exact time. It's never like, hey, crew A has a problem, and then an hour later, crew B. It's like, nope, everything's at the same time. And so having our operations assistants in there, and they can answer the questions, field the calls from the guys, deal with customer issues, anything that comes up, we just have this wider net that we can throw out, and we can actually cover more. It gives our operations managers peace of mind too, that they don't have to be the ones covering every problem. So that's been really nice as well. I'm a huge fan. We've got clients who have also started with one and then very quickly went up to like 7, right? So it's addicting. Once you get it to stick, it actually is kind of addicting. You can watch your business just like explode, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like you said, that's the true way to scale, is when you can start doing this and handing off those tasks, whether it's hiring a VA or not. But why not take advantage of somebody that very well educated and it's a little bit cheaper than what you can pay here? Why not? Because like you said, it is addictive once you start seeing it. So I'm actually going to be reaching out to you guys to help us find somebody to do content marketing and stuff for us with our social media. So
that's been a hot one for us lately. I actually was just looking through some portfolios for content like right before this call, actually. So we're going through various people for one of our marketing clients. But yeah, we can definitely take a look at that for you, get that set up. I have yet to meet anyone from a client perspective that has said, I love managing people. I love it. Like, no, I've never met, I think I met one individual who kind of felt that way, but she was more on the HR side of things, where she felt like she got to help foster growth, but she didn't actually have to manage the people. And I'm like, no, I've never met anyone who likes it. And so that's where, we want to come alongside you, help manage, because that's another thing. I want to delegate, but I don't have time to watch another person. I just don't, right? And so we want to be there to help out with that too. So we're happy to try to tackle anything that you guys throw at us, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, I really highly recommend you reach out to Kelli and get something set up, at least have a call with them and find out what the capabilities are for your landscape business. And honestly, you'll be surprised on what you'll learn of, like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know they could do that. I guarantee you they'll find something that can definitely help you out and just make your life easier. We have enough stuff to deal with, whether it's dealing with customers, employees, and your own personal family life. Wouldn't it be nice to have some of that time to go spend, go home early and spend time with your kids, or, with your spouse, whatever. It will be a game changer, I promise you. So reach out to HeyLieu and it'll make a big difference in your life.
Yeah, I think actually I missed that one when you were asking what's a good time. When you're at the point where you're slaving away in your business, wondering what you're working for, and you're like missing life that's happening around you, that's another one. I mean, we got to leave the country for 2 weeks and we're zero contact with our company, which a couple of years ago would never have happened. I would have been up all night long with major anxiety, wondering what was going to go wrong while I was gone. And so the fact that we're able to do that, I think, is a huge testament to how much this helps out as well. It's backup plans, it's having safety nets, it's deleveraging people so that you don't have to have all your eggs in one basket with one individual that you have to rely on. All of those things can give you peace of mind. They can give you back some time. That's all great. It's another added benefit.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Well, Kelli, thank you for being on here today. It's been great working with you guys. And like I said, we'll definitely be reaching out for a content person for us, and definitely going to need that. But any other last advice or anything you'd like to say?
No, we're happy to talk to anybody. I definitely would encourage, at least, even if you get to the end of the call, you're not ready to try it, we can help you get ready to delegate too. So that's something that we spend a lot of time doing. We love helping out. We love hearing about other businesses. Sometimes it opens up ideas for us as well. So I'm happy to have that call, whether, again, if it's 30 minutes, I've had discovery calls go like 2.5 hours, because we just really get into the nitty gritty of business, and I love having those conversations. So even if you're just a business owner who's like, I want to talk to another person who owns a business who can feel my pain, we're here for that too. I've probably felt similar pains. So if anything, it can be a commiseration session, but I'm happy to have those conversations with anyone. So yeah, you've got the link there. Come on through, and happy to have that conversation with you.
Awesome, Kelli. Well, great. Thank you guys for being here, and appreciate what you guys do. And landscapers out there, go reach out to HeyLieu. It'll make a big difference. I promise you. I promise you. All right, Kelli. Well, I hope you have a great one, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye.